Close enough. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Onesready podcast. The Aaron and Trent show. This is where we get on here
We need some really crappy theme music while that goes up there. I can't wait.
to go along with the sign that I literally drew by myself with my kids' crayons. So as always, even though we're fooling around a little bit, thank you all out there for listening to us and leaving us reviews. Of course, they're all 5 stars, and you guys leave us the best comments, and it's nothing but love, and we feel it right here, and we appreciate it, and that's why we do what we do. Yeah, big hearts or feelings or however big that feels. Goes.
Yeah.
And then also to the companies that are affiliated with us, the friends of the podcast. We talk about Eberly Stock, and today I think we talked about Outer Eggs Pomade last time we did one of these because it was you and me.
I'm still
we talked about Eberly Stock,
this.
Alpha Brew, Hoist.
I can't even win best hair game, and there's only 4 of us. Like Brian got nominated in the J Times as the best hair. I've got people telling you've got better hair than me. It really is hurtful.
That's really all I've got. Like, as a former weather guy, I have to have something.
You got it. Well, you got that balloon still, right? And that dumb helium tank.
Jeez, dude. Everyone wants to make fun of the job, but if you knew how heavy those stupid helium tanks are...
That's the dumbest. That's the dumbest thing.
They still wouldn't care.
Yeah, it's the dumbest thing that's ever happened. I don't even know how that was ever a thing.
Well, I'm not going to talk about it. It's part of the past, and I'm working on letting go of painful parts of my past. Okay. But yeah, all those companies, all the friends of the podcast that just help us out, and they're just there to support us, and they're there to support you. Use the Onesready code on checkout. Get yourself a discount, and you can have great hair like Brian or I, or Aaron.
Wow. Or Aaron.
Yeah, that was cold. I'm sorry.
Aaron. There was even like a ... pause. Like, so
well,
I was
in the
laughing.
picture, I gave you nice spiky hair. If you can see it.
I saw it. It's so spiky. I don't know why. Oh, that's fantastic. I was laughing when I was getting ready to record the Zoom because you can obviously see. So I rolled a little bit this week. I caught a little bit of a punch to the face or just a little accidental like scratch or whatever. But I literally turned on my computer and I was like, oh no. I wonder if I should ask my sister-in-law who I live with. I wonder if I should ask my sister-in-law for some cover-up. And then I flamed myself so bad that I would have reported myself for online bullying if it would have happened.
Like, what am I thinking? This is a jujitsu war wound, and I'm trying to cover it up with makeup.
What am I thinking? Like, what have I become? I am such a dork. I don't know. Well, it is what it is, I guess.
It's a weird thing to sit in front of the camera and you're just like staring at yourself, and then you try to look at other people, and like your eyes wander back to yourself, and you're like, "How do I look today? Do I look okay?" Like,
right. And then the worst
is
go
brush my teeth again.
I went on the Inheriting Manhood podcast with Nate Gladden, which was awesome. So I hope you go on. That was a dope project to be involved with. But I noticed myself in the edited video when I was pulling clips, and I look and I'm just like, what are you looking at? Why are you looking down? You're an idiot. You are so stupid. I was just shaming myself the entire time. I'm sure that's healthy.
Dude, when I listen to the audio, I don't know what's wrong with me because I think I'm a fairly proficient public speaker.
You are not.
But especially if we have the script and everything, and I'm trying to get my thoughts out there as clean as possible. Like, the harder I try, the more I'm just like all over the place. My brain starts to malfunction. It's a mess. Yeah. So everybody out there, go start a podcast. It's a good time. You'll have fun.
It's a good time. It's great. Yeah.
So I have a question, actually, something that hit me earlier today.
Okay.
And I don't know if you know the answer. This is a military question. These are, like those random things that you just don't know that you should know after being in the military for like 17, 18 years.
Absolutely. Yep.
Are Rangers 11 series, or do they have their own series?
No, so they're the 40 X-ray, right? That you own a 40 contract. I'm not actually sure what their MOS is, but I believe it starts with 40. I'd have to look, but I know when you go into the Rangers, you go in under the 40 X-ray contract, and that's what you go into to what are they called? The pre-Ranger selection. It used to be RASP, whatever it is now. Yeah,
it just doesn't make sense to me because we got 11. I'm an 11 bang bang.
Yeah,
those guys.
Yeah,
who are awesome, and I love you. You got the 18 series guys who I'm very familiar with. Right. But then like the Rangers, they never refer to themselves as like their MOS. So it's always...
Yeah, well, yeah, you don't have to. It's Ranger. I mean, it's like being Prince. It's a one name. Like, you can associate yourself with whatever else. Like, they are who they are. It's like, you can be like, oh, I'm a Ranger. Yep, makes sense. What's your MOS? Ranger. Copy. Yep.
That's my goal for Special Reconnaissance, is that it's not a 1 Zulu 4. It's just SR.
Just S. You could say SR and people know what you're talking about.
Although I've gotten some feedback about the SR thing. It's not easy to say, and it doesn't make sense to everybody. It's not PJ, controller, TAC-P. SR just does not flow as well. So like people are like, you need to change the name, and I'm like, well, it's a little late, guys. Where were you 2 years ago?
Well, if you well, if you think about it, I mean, it's two softer syllables, right? Like PJ, CCT, like those have like hard like consonants. TAC-P, those have hard. You guys are way more sneaky. You're like, what's your name? SR, baby. That's it. I'm just sliding in here, sliding into them SR things.
Or it's like Slavic, like SR. Like, I don't know. You can say it hard. No?
Hard R's
smooth?
Hard R's are never good. You are never allowed to do that.
No.
So it's got to be a soft R.
I'm learning a lot today. This is why I come on the Aaron and Trent show, so that I can, for my own personal edification.
Let us clarify, like, this is not a separate show. Trent and I just like recording content together when we have time. We're like, hey, who wants to get on and record tonight? Trent and I are always like, I don't know. I'll BS for an hour. We'll see if it sticks. I fully expect this to get about, I don't know, 3 views and 1 like, and it's going to be, 1 like is going to be me. The other one, you're just going to be like, nah, that turned out terribly. Quick shout out to my mom for sliding up in the DMs telling me I'm doing a good job, because that was the only feedback we got on that one.
I mean, I appreciate it. She's actually, my mom criticizes me. She's like, hey, bro, with the vocal pauses, stop it. You're my son.
Does she really?
No, she doesn't.
Oh, that would be way funnier. Way funnier.
I think I told you, like, my mom didn't know. I still think she really doesn't know what I did for a job. And
just for extended periods of time.
Yeah. She and we try to not tell her too much, it is what it is. She's got a whole pile of boys to worry about, so we tried to keep her in the dark.
Yeah, well, we do the same thing. My mom affectionately calls them camping trips. 2 of my brothers are deployed right now, so she just refuses. She's like, "Have you talked to your brothers?" I'm like, yeah, Mom, they're fine. They're cool. Like, the 2 places that they are, it's not like super kinetic right now, so they're really just kind of like sitting around waiting to fly missions and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, Mom, they're fine. They're good. She's just like, okay, well, you tell them I said I love them. I'm like, you can just text them. Like,
right.
This isn't like World War II where you got to send a letter and it's not going to get there. Like, you can literally just pick your phone up, use the same messaging app you've always used, and go, hey, how are you guys doing? And they'll respond. It's crazy.
Dude, and that's really weird, because I remember, I might be dating myself a little bit, but in the beginning, like my first deployment, like you couldn't just pick up your phone and message me. Like, I didn't have that kind of capability.
You had to go to MWR, and you had to have time, and you had to have, like, did you deploy the first time with like 500 calling cards?
No, I had, I think, less than 2 weeks notice before my first deployment. And I'd only been on Bragg for like 3 months. So I had no idea what I needed. So basically I just went over there with like nothing,
right?
A radio. I had my embedder. Shout out to the embedder.
You just
Loved you.
showed up. Hi, I'm Trent. I'm here to help.
When I did show up at the FOB, it was like, I'd heard horror stories about some guys that would show up at FOBs and like try to not say that they were weather guys. Like, hey, I'm a shooter. Or, you got like the weapon with the stop, like whatever.
Yeah.
So like, I remember I came off the helicopter and like the captain walks up to me. He's like, who are you? I'm like, I'm the weather guy. And like, he was actually really cool about it. He was like, oh, hey, cool. Like, you can help the PsyOps guys out with some of their projects. And some of these other guys and the SOD guys need to know when stuff's happening. And then, we'll take you when we need you and stuff. But I wasn't like, yeah, I've never driven a Humvee or shot a belt-fed weapon or any of this other stuff before. I'll just figure that out.
Like, I'll leave that part out. That's more like an on-the-job, in-the-moment sort of thing. You need me to do what now? Okay, I'm going to figure that out.
It was pretty bad, yeah. Oh, also, I don't have a satellite-capable radio or a laptop with me because we just didn't have that to send with me, so I had to beg, borrow, and steal to get like weather observations out. I could only send them out like once a day. Otherwise, the Fox was like, get off the laptop. We have one laptop to send official stuff out on, and you're on it, sending out weather stuff. And I'm like, this is my job, man.
I hope you talk. This is my job, man. Yeah.
Well, I was pretty young. And yeah, like 155-pound me was like, I don't know what to do. My boss back in Bagram was yelling at me.
It's just like, you're not giving me any weather reports. Be like, I don't know, man. It's Afghanistan out. That's what it looks like.
Like, I'll tell you what happened today at the end of the day so that I don't get my arms ripped off by this really scary dude that's here and beaten with my own arms, all right? Like, I'm trying to go along to get along.
Yeah.
I love
that. Never changes in your career. Every once in a while, like when we deployed one time to Iraq, there was this Chief Warrant Officer 5, and we used to tell stories about him all the times. I won't say his last name. I'll call him Mr. Smith. But Mr. Smith, he was one of those guys that just immediately became a legend in the team's mind, right? So our call sign, can we say call signs that we had? I don't think you can. All right, so we had a call sign, and
I think they've changed them all out like multiple times since then, right?
Well,
I don't know how long
the
ago
entire
that was.
place that we were operating in isn't even there. Like, so anyway, let's say we went by Savage. I'll just make one up. So, he was like, dude, first of all, that call sign was the best. So this guy, he was like 6'5". He was an AH-6 pilot, and he was like perpetually tan, but like really good looking tan. And you were just like, yo, are you like a poster? And he was a Chief Warrant 5. So we're like, how old are you? 560 years old? Like, nobody knew what to do. And those guys, for everybody out there listening or watching, if you don't understand the power that a Chief Warrant Officer 5 has, it is ridiculous. Nobody says anything to them ever. My brother is
They are beyond rank.
Yeah, they really are.
They're in a mythical status.
They are. They really are. So the fact that this guy was a little bird pilot, he was tall, he was always drinking a coffee cup, and the joke started immediately. We're like, me and my controller friend would be like, hey, what do you think's in there? And he'd be like, oh, definitely gasoline. He drinks nothing but straight gas, probably JP8. So all of these things happen, right? So the legend of Mr. Smith grows. This intel dude, captain type, comes in and he starts briefing at the stand-up. And he's like, well, you know, they've got some small arms on the ground, but it's really nothing to worry about. And, you know, yada, yada, yada. And Mr. Smith had this deep voice and he goes, what do you mean there's nothing to worry about? So the intel guy kind of repeats himself and he goes, do you realize that I fly at 50 GD feet and somebody could hit me with a rock? Why don't you get out of this room and you can start the brief over when you're ready? And he was serious. It was like the big daily stand-up brief. There were like 50 people there. Like, all the air players were there. It was like the air mission brief for the day. This guy literally had to go out, come back in, and start over.
Did he like look over at his colonel, and his colonel's like, yeah, you better go.
Oh, he didn't look at anybody. He didn't like nobody wanted to look at him. They were like, you better get out that door. He's serious. He's going to stomp you to death in front of people. So the legend grew. So one day we decided, we were just like, this is it. We gotta. The pilots have smart packs. They have a whole bunch of stuff that they have, like their little books of things, and it has imagery and some other stuff on it. Well, we decided to make him, just like your Trent and Aaron show intro screen, we decided to make him like a drawn cartoon book. And we're like, hey, from the Savage team. And it was like an A8, or an AH-6, just like shooting stuff. And it's like pew, 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 pew. And it has like fire and stuff. And it has him just like basically flying the helicopter. We were like children in the back of the room, like, as he's flipping through the smart pack, because we slipped it into his smart pack. So you see him like flip through it, and he gets to the page and he like flips, because it was like a 3-page comic book. He like flipped it again, and he looked back at us and he was like, and he went back to the brief. We were ecstatic.
Just like trying to hold it in, like, this is the greatest moment of my life.
Guys, he likes us.
He loved it.
Guys, he likes us. He was legendary. He would like just peel off. Like, you hear him, he'd put his call sign out there and he'd be like, I'm leaving. I'll be back in a moment. So he would leave target. He would come back. And we'd be like, what? Later, we'd be like, where did you go? Like, why did you check off? Because we heard you and we didn't track. He was like, there was a tick like a kilometer away. I just went and put some fires down real quick. We were like, wait a second. You left your pre-brief mission just to go to respond to a troops in contact for those guys? And he'd be like, yeah, all the ammo was making me fly slow anyway. I was just like, what?
I was in the area. I threw a 9-banger and hit a dude in the head. It was no big deal.
I could just see him like dropping a grenade out. Just be like, okay, I got other stuff to do. I got to go.
You guys good? Okay. I got to get back.
It was the most ridiculous thing, but that was that guy. That was hilarious. Like, his legend grew, almost immediately. He's just one of those dudes that you were just like, holy cow, I want to be this dude when I grow up. So good times.
Those dudes are important, right? Like, those people that can just, like, people gravitate towards and bring everybody together and hold everybody accountable, whether they say anything or not, right? Because no one wants to look stupid in front of that guy. So if you have a briefing part, like I work for some of those guys, and yeah, you better have it all in one sock. Otherwise, you're gonna hear about it
You're gonna
for the
get
rest
it.
of forever.
And it's the worst. Those sting worse than anything. It's like when your mentor is more disappointed in you than he's mad at you, and you're just like, oh no. It's the worst.
My first mentor was like a short Irish dude, bald, angry. So it was always just anger.
Was it J-Mac?
There was never like...
Well, J-Mac's not bald. He's just kind of receding.
No.
Power alleys. He's got power alleys.
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting some alleys, but
You're looking good.
yeah, they just stay there. But yeah, I mean, I never got the disappointed thing. It was always like expletive, expletive, expletive. So...
So I love this story. My CA was one of my first team daddies. He was awesome. So right after my injury, I get back, and one of the very first trips that we take when I can go do. I'm not back on status yet, but I'm moving around, and I'm trying to get some continue to do everything I can to try to stay current and relevant and make sure that I'm ready to go and come back. So we go to Germany. First of all, we go to get in the car, and he's like, I don't feel like driving. I'm pretty sleepy. Would you mind driving? The training area is about 3 hours away from where we were. I was like, yeah, no problem, CA. So we get in, and my stupid Northeast Ohio self had never seen a car with a push to start before. And I was like, oh, check that out. Well, I'm hitting it, and the car will not start. Like that, I'm hitting it, and he's just like, what's happening, man? I was like, I don't know, man. The car won't start. It's like it's dead.
It says push to start, and I'm hitting this button as hard as I can, bro.
I'm pushing it. Do I have to push and hold? Is it a double click? I don't know. So he gets in, he puts his foot on the brake and hits it, and literally looks at me. He's like, I was just like, oh my God, I'm the biggest idiot. I was like, well, I'm glad that nothing else bad can happen. Oh, I was wrong. So the navigation system was in German. We didn't know how to navigate through it to set it in English. So like we couldn't navigate the menu well enough because we didn't know German well enough. And this was I had a BlackBerry at the time that barely had email. Like you definitely weren't getting like pictures.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like remember the BlackBerries with like the actual keyboard, the physical keyboard?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's what I had. So we had that, and there was no way to really look it up. So I was just like, all right, well, cool. I can see kind of how to navigate. I can see the go-to button. Okay. And I typed in the name of the place that we were going, which was Hohenfels Training Range. And I was like, okay, cool. So I was like, oh, the time is about right. Got it. I was like, okay, yeah, man, I got it. If you want to rack out, cool. So he goes to sleep. Like I'm driving, 2 or 3 hours, it's really early morning, gets to be about 11 o'clock. And he kind of wakes up, and he kind of looks around, and he goes, hey man, we should probably be pretty close. Yeah. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, okay, I've spent about, 2 years collectively of my life at this training range. This is not the right area. And I was like, no, look at the navigation. We went to, there was just a random small German town named Hohenfels. It was not the massive army training. And for funsies, the airport was here. It was equidistant between the two Hohenfels. So that's why the navigation system read, 3 hours and 3 hours, except it was 3 hours in the wrong direction. So
right.
then
it's 2 hours back.
No, it's 6 hours back. So we had to, it was like on a line. So it was like, this is the airport, and this place was Hohenfels, and this place was Hohenfels.
Oh.
So he literally, his thing was like, he would always smoke a cigarette. He would always have a Coke in his hand, a Diet Coke in his hand. No kidding. He was like, all right, well, we're going to need to start this ride, but I'm going to go to the little, like there was like a little, like a field. And he was like, I'm going to go over here and just take a second in this field, and then we're going to go. He literally put me on timeout so he could collect himself. And for the 6 hours that he drove back, he did not say a single word to me. And I just sat there in the car. I'm a grown man, by the way. I'm 27 years old. I have children. I'm a special operator. And I sat there like an absolute idiot. He did not say a single word. And even when we got, we pull into the gate and he parked, and the only thing he said to me is he throws the car in park, and he looks and he's like, we're here. I was just like,
there's a lot implied there. Like, you failed to get us here. I got us here. It took forever.
It was the worst. It was the worst. And that guy, again, one of my mentors, I was lucky enough to go to his retirement. My friend and I managed to get Charlie there. So it was a pretty cool, yeah. And he was also on his team. So that was a cool thing. A lot of our team that grew up under him were actually at his retirement, which was a cool thing. So that was awesome. But man, oh, the realization that I just driven us 3 hours in the wrong direction with, a guy that I really respected and I wanted him to, to like me. Oh, man.
It's weird to look back, right? You have those mentors that can put you like back into child status, so to speak, where you just want to make them happy. And then when you get to the point where someone else like holds you at that level and they might say something like that, like, oh, like, like you're my mentor or whatever it is. Like they probably don't say that, but when you realize that.
Not to me, they don't.
Yeah, but you're like, no, I'm not that guy. And they're like, you are that guy. Yeah. And you're just like, oh, that's a lot of pressure. And but I'm just me. Don't be weird. I'm not anything special.
Right.
But then you look up to those people and you remember the number of times that they were like, bro, call me by my first name or I'm going to punch you in the throat. I'm going to leave you on the side of the road. It's like, I don't know if I can do that.
I have called that gentleman by either his ops initials or boss until this day. He randomly, like every once in a while, he'll text me and he'll just be like, hey man, I'm just checking in, seeing how you're doing. I'm like, hey, what's up, boss? All right, CA, cool. Like I have never called him by his first name. I don't think that's ever going to be a thing. Like it's funny though that you bring that up. We were kind of talking today and it was a talk about politics. I don't know if have you seen the news? Apparently there's some political stuff going on.
Is there something happening?
Yeah, just check CNN or Fox News. They seem to have a pretty good handle on the reporting. Anyway, but we were talking, and I was talking to one of my friends, and we were obviously having an in-depth conversation about it. But I came to a realization: politicians are not older, wiser, or smarter than us. The politicians that everybody dislikes are all younger than we are. And they have less life experience. Like they aren't the adult in the room. When you realize that you're no longer looking, because you lionize people like your mentors or your idols or these people that you think are untouchable, you walk away sometimes and you're like, wait a second, I'm actually the adult in the room, which makes me go, oh God, I need an adultier adult. Like who am I supposed to ask? People kind of, and it's kind of like the same thing when somebody looks at you and they're like, you've really helped me out and thanks for your help. And I consider you one of my mentors, or, those things always pop up at like you're going away or one of those times, or when somebody else is going away, they're they'll say something like that or slip it in, and it's cringy for you because inside I just want to crawl into a hole and never poke my head out again. But it's funny making that transition and being like, crap, am I the adult now? Am I the team dad now? And every once in a while you're just like, man, I don't feel like it.
Yeah, don't put that on me. Don't. No. I'm one of the guys. I make so many mistakes. I don't know why anybody would look up to me. I am a dumpster fire. Don't say that crap.
Don't even get me started, Playboy. How much time you got?
There's some people downstairs that probably want me to be done with this at a reasonable time.
All right, good. Yeah, I'll probably leave out the shortcomings. How was your holidays, man? Did you take some leave? Did you chill out?
Yeah, it was good. We did Christmas and then New Year's, and no, I did New Year's at my buddy's ranch. So we got some friends here in San Antonio. Went out to the middle of nowhere, put some rounds down and helped them around the ranch and do what you do in the middle of nowhere type stuff. It was a good time. What about you?
Man, that's perfect. I got to Albuquerque, so I got to go back to the Mecca and be back in the Duke City. I got to talk to the commandant of the schoolhouse, is one of my good friends. I obviously worked for him before I left, but it was good to, of course, maintaining social distancing and proper COVID protocols. It was good to see him and his family and spend some time with the kids and hang out, get some workouts in, and I got to see some of the instructors. So it was definitely dope. The podcast is I don't know how we're gonna release these in what order, but we got a couple of podcasts. We actually got approval, and spoiler alert, we recorded from the schoolhouse, so that was a pretty cool deal. Yeah, that's one thing too I totally forgot, and I kind of took for granted as an instructor working there. They're just the classrooms, right? So there's these 3 classrooms at the end of the hallway. 2 things about that hallway that I totally forgot, and it really hit me just because I had a different perspective. The entire hallway at that schoolhouse is lined with every medal that's been given to a pararescueman since we started basically getting medals. So anybody that's gotten, an aerial achievement, well, not usually an aerial achievement, but like a distinguished flying cross, something for valor. So all, pictures of guys, Jason Cunningham, the huge statue of Pitzenbarger. I totally forgot walking in that hallway how heavy the history is And then something that we started doing was putting up the instructor awards up on the wall so that the students could see, hey, these instructors aren't just, knuckleheads that got sent here. Like, here's what they've done too. So that was kind of thing. One, I forgot how much history that place really has and what a center of gravity it really has become for the pararescue community. It's awesome. So if you have a chance, everybody out there, if you can get to the Pararescue Schoolhouse, you can go through selection if you want to. That's probably the harder way to get there. But if you're just around there, you could probably go peek your head in if you're in the military. So, but
I'd say that's the recommended way, though, is go through the pipeline. That's what we recommend.
Yeah, you'll get intimately familiar with the schoolhouse if you go through the pipeline. That's what I recommend, but that's a cool way to do it. But the other thing that I forgot was the team plaques. So when you graduate, everybody has a team plaque, and I posted mine on an Instagram post so you can see what ours look like. And I completely, like, you go through there and you're like, this is decades of your friends, your peers, your mentors, guys that are not there anymore. You get to see them at that same time that we've all shared when, you get to give that plaque to the instructor staff and they hang it up in a classroom. I was like a kid in a candy store. I was like, oh man, I forgot. And I worked there. For 4 years. I was in and out of that room, not every day, but I was in and out of those classrooms once or twice a week. I would walk past and, turn a light off and I would see my plaque is right there by the door. It's in the background of the podcast, by the way. No big deal. I set it up on purpose. But, yeah, it was one of those things I just sort of forgot about, how much history is in that place.
Yeah, it's crazy. No, I mean, I've been there, and it's a cool place, So, and I think looking back at that time when, and it takes me back to the time when I see stuff like that of when I tell the young guys coming in, and I've said this before, I'm not jealous of your age. I'm jealous of everything that's about to happen to you and the amount of growth that's about to happen and how much you're going to learn about yourself in the next few years as you get through the pipeline and your first couple of rotations on team. Just the fire hose of change that happens and the amount of data that you get and the amount of experiences, it's insane. And that's what I'm jealous of is like starting the podcast is hard, in the business and all this other stuff. And it's kind of like the same thing, like there's growth, but it's hard to compress that much growth in anywhere else in life. It's great. Well,
You may, and I totally understand what you're saying. Those guys and girls in the future, they are going to make the best friends that they've ever had. They're going to go through the worst times that they've ever had. They're going to laugh harder than they've ever laughed. I had a friend. There used to be a thing called van fights. And it's exactly what it sounded like. And if you were in the van and somebody called van fight, the driver was off limits, but everybody else was immediately in a fight for their life. I had a close friend of mine. He was getting choked from behind. Like somebody was just like, van fight, and just yoked him from behind, like rear naked him, like from the seat behind him. Cause there's like 7 seats in the 15 packs van or whatever it is. So he's trying to fight his way out of it, and he was like, it hit me just right, and then I just puked. I puked everywhere. And now that sounds like you laugh, and I laugh because it is hilarious. If you tried to explain to somebody why that was funny, they were like, first of all, they'd be like, I am taking away all of your rights, all of your access to guns. What type of psychopath are you to tell me this story? But that story is hilarious. The pipeline stories and the friends that you make of completely innocuous, not even just shenanigans that you get into. Like, I am jealous of that.
Like, all personal barriers are gone. Everybody's pain tolerance is just stupid high. Like everybody's just so used to stupid things happening to them. Yeah. And so like it just leads to all kinds of crazy stuff that, like, in retrospect sounds criminal. But at the time it was just good fun, Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, you try to explain that to other people, and they're like, "I don't understand anything about you." You're like, "Well, okay."
If you can't,
that's how it was.
Yeah, if you can't laugh at a guy that puked because he got choked in a van driving back from a drop zone at 2 a.m., I don't know what to tell you. That's just funny.
Yeah. That reminds me of a puking story. I don't know if I've told on this podcast one time.
Why would you have told it? When would this have possibly come up?
I don't know. When I was an instructor at Keesler, we would make the students do log rolls, right? Mm-hmm. And one morning, we did a ruck. It was a down Friday on Keesler. Every other Friday is off, and that's when we do our rucks. So we go on a ruck, and we come back, and usually after the rucks, it's like pretty chill, and they get ready and everything. And so we're like, okay, guys, eat your breakfast, whatever, chill out. And they're like, cool. and there's like a patch of grass behind the gym. And so they're all done with their breakfast. We come out, we're like, get out on the grass. We get out there, and there was one Stowe candidate that like just hated log rolls. And as soon as we said it, we're like, okay, log rolls, go. As soon as the word log rolls escaped our lips, the dude just started puking all over the grass.
Oh,
like it was
no.
so fast and immediate that it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It was and just the words, like he knew it was coming anyway, and just like immediately the puke was all over. And then everybody's just like, I guess we're just rolling through everybody's puke today. Like it is what it is.
That's the worst. And those kind of times, like you can't explain that to anybody. You can't explain why that's a funny thing to us now. But how many times have you been through that? How many times have I been through it to where you're like, this is the worst of the worst. This could not get any worse. This is the bottom of the barrel, and you just find a way to make it fun, and you just get through it. And then later you look back on it and you tell the story like it was some great time. But, you know, I think Marcus Luttrell said it to the Alabama football team. Bonds are forged through times of adversity. So the fact that you can look back at that and laugh, that's where that jealousy comes from. That's where old dudes looking at young dudes are like, man, you have no idea what kind of pipeline ride, you know, what kind of ride this job is, what kind of, you know, all these jobs. You have no clue the insane highs and the depressing deepest lows, but you got the team there and you guys are going to get through it. And then you're going to tell those stories and it's going to be awesome.
Well, yeah, because you can only jump out of a plane for the first time one time.
Yeah.
You know, like you can only get like shot at for the first time one time. You know, like all those firsts, it's, you know, like, and you can't replicate that level of like fear, anxiety, and just like adrenaline and happiness all kind of rolled up into one single feeling. It's hard to replicate.
Yeah.
I think that's really what a lot of the older guys are always chasing, and it's never coming back. I don't want to relate it to any illegal substances, but yeah,
it's never
the
as
analogy
good as the first
applies.
time, right?
Yeah,
Sure. Way to
I don't have any
around.
personal experience in that. I'm just saying that's what I've heard. I listen to the Rogan podcast, so I'm pretty well versed.
This is like, man, I called Rogan out again. He's gonna hear me one time, but I think I challenged him to something stupid on the Inheriting Manhood podcast, just because I'm like, I don't know, Joe Rogan. Maybe he'll have us on one day. It'll be hilarious. Speaking of,
he's getting up there. I'd rather go on like BK Actual, I think. Except I'm not sure if he has guests. He just does the news.
Yeah.
I just want to make a whole bunch of Jack and Tan jokes the whole time.
I know. Well, I've been hounding him to come on here. We just missed each other. I think he is also on the road, and I think he's going through Albuquerque here sometime soon. And I've been hounding him. I'm like, hey man, whenever it is that you want to come on here, and he's like, I don't know, you're kind of an idiot. I'm like, no, that's a good point, but still, like, there's other guys on the podcast. You could come kick it. So speaking of speaking of other stuff you want to do, what do you want to do in 2021, man? Like what? I know it got off to a rough start. Day 6 was a little rough, but I'm just counting that one as a little bit from what I understand. I'm just counting it as I'm counting that as day that was December 37th of 2020. That was the one alibi that 2021's got.
Like all the memes that were just like, it's not going to end. December is just going to keep going.
It's going to keep going, yeah.
I don't know. 2021. What is the goal is keep this train running. You know, we got a few irons in the fire as far as this thing goes.
Yep.
I gotta, acquire the next stripe. Ooh. and then start to feel more comfortable with that not hanging over my head anymore. You know the feeling?
That's a weird thing. Like the way that we do promotions is weird. I don't know if I like the way the Army does it better, where they'll frock you and then you come out on the list when you come out on the list, so you already wear the rank. The Navy does the same thing. I don't know which one I like better, but I will tell you 100% living that whatever 11 or 12 months that we did with a line number, and like it's the actual, I mean, I know I sound like first world problems. You're like, oh, I can't believe I had to wait for line number. But like, right. I get it. But it was like every little thing you're just like, oh God, I just let me put it on so I don't have to worry about this and yada yada. It's just been it was tough.
Yeah. Every time you think about snapping at like some like higher ranking person, which you would totally do if you didn't have that stripe hanging over your head, it's like, okay, I'll get back to you in 6 months and we'll revisit this conversation.
I actually, when I put E7 on, or when I made E7, one of my good friends that works down in San Antonio now, so he texted me and he was like, hey man, congratulations. listen to me. You are not allowed to tell anybody to F off. You have to wait until you have it on. I was like, all right, that's good input. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, that first day with new rank, you walk around, you're like, okay, so we're all the same rank now? Okay, like, let me tell you about yourself a little bit.
Okay.
You tell me about myself.
I've been
It's a good time.
Yeah. Hi. Here's a list of grievances that I've had. It's like the airing of grievances.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me though, like this is it. I think I'm not pushing for that next one.
No.
So it's kind of like that liberating feeling where it's the end is coming. Mm-hmm. It's like I'm feeling a little more froggy than usual. Like I might just tell you what I think. You're like,
that's a dangerous man. I just passed 19 years in, right? So that was in early January. So with me, I'm on the countdown. Like 358 days or whatever. I don't know what it is, but until 20. I was laughing with Peaches because he kind of texted me one day. He was like, man, I hit 20 today. Guess what? Nothing matters anymore. Nobody can do anything to me. I made it to 20 years in. That is a retirement. No matter what happens. Act of Congress happens and they kick me out. 20 years. Got it.
Yep. Like everyone you look at, you're just like, I dare you to say something. You know those guys. They're just like, you want to say something to me? Because I don't have to be here. It's I'm getting there slowly but surely. And then like all the SR stuff. That's the big 2021 thing is getting pushing that ball for further down the line and getting all the training where it needs to be. That's and it's not necessarily my job anymore, but I'm very invested in where that goes.
You'll always be invested in. I'm still in. I will not lie to you. When I was back in Albuquerque, and I was working out or texting some of the instructors or talking to them, and just seeing how they were doing, 100%. Hey, how's the course going? Have you guys changed the course flow? Did you guys change the blocks? Like I'm 100% because I'm invested too. Like we were down there, class 2003 had just graduated, and one of the instructors, no kidding, I was having a conversation with somebody, and my other friend was just having a conversation with his instructor friend. Was like, "Oh, we got the critiques," and I stopped what I was doing, and I was like, "You guys got the student critiques in today? What'd they say?" And they were like, why do you care? I'm like, I care deeply about this. Tell me all of them. Tell me the good ones. Tell me the bad ones. Do you think it was valid input? Like I was geeking out for a second.
What are you guys doing with my course? What are you doing?
Exactly.
It was fine when I left. What'd you guys do?
Exactly. And it's so hard not to say that. It's so hard not to say my guys, my course, my this or that, because when you truly do have buy-in, you feel like it's yours. You really do feel like you're a part of something.
Yeah.
I feel like that up here. I feel like that with my, I was having a pre-deployment psych doc interview, and she looked at me and she goes, well, I want to talk and tell you about, some of your guys. She was like, which one are your guys? And just instinctively, I was like, they're all my guys.
Yeah.
And she was, yeah, they're all my guys. Yeah. Which one are we talking about? So yeah, it was just a funny thing, but that buy-in, I mean, that's awesome. And when you have a whole team that's doing that, watch what you can do. Because that's a lot of stuff.
I will say, though, that is one of the best things about our community and one of the most frustrating things, because everybody is so passionate about everything that happens. So, like, it's easy to be like, oh, that's great that everybody's so bought in. It's like, yeah, until we disagree.
Right.
If knowing who we are, it's horrific. It's a bloodbath all over the place.
My favorite were there's way too many acronyms, so I'm not going to do it. But, there's times every 2 years or so where everybody gets together. You got the guard, the reserve, you got the ST guys, the rescue guys, the old guys, the younger dudes, and they're all in a room. So if you have 40 people in a room and you ask one question, you're going to get 120 opinions. And everybody in there is an alpha male, and everybody, like, immediately. And it's always funny. Like, the first day, everybody's, you see people you haven't seen in a long time, and you're like, hey, guys, oh, what's up, bro? How are things? How's it over there? What problems are you having? You go out that night, have a dinner, have a beer or two. You come back the next day, and then it's like you can feel it. You start having some of those contentious conversations, and then somebody's like, all right, I got something since you guys aren't saying it, and it is on. It is on. And I love it because somebody, like we were saying, somebody will be like, this program is dumb. You'd be like, I'm sorry, do you mean my program is dumb? Do you mean I'm dumb? Okay. And it is on.
Yeah. Tell me about your experience. Yeah, and there's always that one guy that's like, it's starting to get thick, the tension, and he's just like pulls the pin out of the grenade and just like, okay, let's get this over with.
Yep.
Let's blow this place up.
Absolutely. And then usually day 4 and 5, like everybody comes back together and good things come out of it. Like, those senior leader working groups or, those career field education and training plan meetings, like good things always come out of it. Cause everybody loves the career field. I was telling this story the other day, but I was on a group chat and we were just talking about dumb stuff. Just completely, like somebody threw one of those grades like, oh, did you see this? I guess standards don't even apply anymore. And immediately I started text. I was like, all right, homie, you don't know what you're talking about. Whatever, yada, yada, yada. One of my friends jumps back in. Like there was Guard and Reserve guys on there. There were current instructors on there. I'm, obviously on the active duty ST side. One of our friends is up at the 724, so he's responding from his optic, and everybody. I mean, it was a knife fight. It was a knife fight in the group chat for a while, and then the next day we just went on back to business. Like there was no kumbaya moment. It was just like, sorry, man, I said what I said. I love you. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know my opinion. Who cares? We're moving on. Yeah.
Yeah. It is what it is. Time to continue.
What are you trying to get done in 2021? What's the big Aaron plan?
I don't know, man. My 5-meter target is just deploy. I want to go downrange. I want to do good work. I want to make sure, the only goal that I ever have is, the only acceptable math that works for me is I come back with more people than I left with, and that's it. I'm going to come back either with the same number of people or more, and that's it. So that's always my only goal. I've got 2 locations that I'm going to be kind of managing at one time, and it's awesome. What we're doing there is it's close to never been done before. It's right in the beginning of the program that we're working, so I'm excited about that. And I know I'm going to fail at some stuff because, man, I'm a PJ living in this world and trying to figure out things on the fly. But that stuff really, really engages me and really, gets me going, as the people would say. So, but yeah, and then it'll be get back from that deployment and take some good leave. And definitely I'm hoping by the time I get back, everybody take this to heart. When I get back, I want to sit down at a restaurant with my friends, and I want to go to a concert afterwards, and I don't want to see a mask. So whatever COVID nonsense is going on in America, I need y'all to figure this out for me so that when we get back, we are good. Please, that's my one ask. I can't say how long I'm going, but I'm just saying, just do me a solid.
You're like the equivalent of the guy that gets up to go to the restroom and hopes that his food is there at the restaurant by the time he gets back.
100%.
Hey, I'm leaving. When I come back,
I'm just saying,
it better be ready to go.
I'm hoping. It's like the meme of Donald Glover walking in with pizzas, and he walks in and the room is just on fire. That's exactly. I'm hoping it's like that, but in reverse. Like I hope I walk into a party, just be like, oh hey.
Oh my goodness. Are TV shows like Community funnier when you're deployed? Is that just me?
I think you just have more time to appreciate them when you're deployed. I was joking around about I'm not the type of dude that crushes like a ton of Netflix or a ton of movies or whatever, but I definitely do, watch those series, or it definitely becomes part of your battle rhythm, especially if you have a family show that nobody has seen. So we're all like, we're looking now, we're like, hey, what show has nobody seen all the way through? Like 1 or 2 dudes that'll obviously recommend it. So you're like, okay, cool. Nobody watched this show before we leave, so we have a family time show that we can watch, or the new ones that are going to obviously come out for streaming. But that was always an awesome time. Like at the end of one of the deployments, the Ranger team that was my security team just decided that we were going to have a family time show, and at that time it was Sons of Anarchy. So we would get done, and it was at the end of our day. We worked nights, obviously, so all the day walkers, we would go get our breakfast with the day walkers. We would come back. We would sit down. We would open up our breakfast, which was our midnight meal. Like that was the last thing we were going to eat before we went to sleep. But we would watch Sons of Anarchy, and there were some nights where it was getting so good, everybody would look around and you'd be like, all right, guys, are we going to do one more? Is it a family decision? And somebody would go to bed and be like, all right, sorry, he's going to bed. No more family shows.
Man, those old guys going to bed, they kill all the buzz. They kill all the buzz.
It was this one guy named Kevin, and he was the youngest dude. He was the youngest tabbed Ranger dude walking around that place, and he would go to bed. He was always the one that would tab out. He'd be like, I gotta go to sleep, guys. We're like, you're 21. You're 21 years old. What are you doing?
If it's his first rotation, his cortisol levels might be through the roof. He's trying to hide it because he's around all his boys. When he's kind of stressed out.
Dude.
I'm trying.
funniest-
I'm the Kevin apologist, I guess.
I guess the funniest part about that deployment to me, and it had nothing to like. There were a ton of funny parts, but the dudes with us, like we grew mustaches. We played the mustache game, and it was awesome with us. So we had these big mustaches, and it was funny. The Rangers did it too. That is not a thing in Ranger culture. Like you do not walk around with a mustache as a Ranger. They do not dig that. Like it's not a thing. But they did it with us when they were deployed because they were pretty much away from the flagpole and they were on our specific compound and whatever. They got essentially a 1-day heads up that their first sergeant was coming through the area, and he was like, hey, I definitely want to stop in and see you guys. So we wake up for that A and B the next day, and they're all clean shaven. And I was like, what happened? And they told me, they were like, yeah, our first sergeant's coming in today. And we're like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, man, we won't screw around with you. Like, you guys have done great. Like, we're not going to throw you under the bus. We understand how that goes. The first sergeant's there for about 2 seconds, and he gets really close to one of the guy's faces, and he goes, why is your upper lip not tan like the rest of your face?
Oh my gosh.
And immediately the guy was just like, and the first sergeant was like, you had a mustache for long enough to not get tan on your lip. And we excused ourselves. Me and the other PJ were like, well, we are out of here. Thanks for coming by, First Sergeant. We're going to be in the ready room if you need us. And we just bounced.
We're the guys with the ponytails heading out the door.
Exactly. And my friend Jared's hair was ridiculous. I mean, he could slick it like all the way back at this point. Like his hair was super, super long. And we were just like, all right, cool. We're going to get out of here.
Dude, I got caught with the best mullet I've ever grown in my life. I made it all the way back to Al Udeed, and I made a mistake. Like we were all in like one of those big tents sleeping or whatever. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, my beanie that had covered it all up, I like shoved all my hair up underneath my beanie. And I took it off for something to go to sleep. And then some officer walked by and was like, that guy needs to get a haircut.
Oh,
so
I hate to see it.
I was like, bro, like it's almost my shoulders. This is pretty awesome.
That's how I lost the mustache game. We made the mistake of going to the big chow hall, right? Because there was like the little chow hall where you could just grab food, and it was essentially third country nationals serving you, and it was a tent chow hall, but it was really convenient. It was like maybe a 1-minute walk away from where we were. But if you walked for like 10 minutes across the compound, you could walk over to the bigger chow hall that was right next to like the hard jock, like the big building. Well, who eats at that chow hall from the big building? All of the important people. So I literally walked in. Yeah, I walked in, and Sergeant Major came over, and he was like, hey, you playing the mustache game? I was like, yep. He's like, cool. Can you shave it for me? I was like, no problem, Sergeant Major. I got you. So we ended up going back because we were basically stood down for this thing that went on. Not our fault, just in the area. So we came in the next night, and I had shaved it, and the guy came over and fist bumped me. He was like, hey, cool. I knew that you were a PJ. I saw that you guys were over here. He's like, hey, thanks for shaving it and not, having any drama. Well, it turns out that was the JSOC Sergeant Major. Like that was the E9 of the compound. And then all of his lackeys, like all of his like E5 through E7, because he would like fist bump me every time I saw him. Then he'd be like, oh, what's up there, PJ2? Because I was PJ2 at the time. He's, oh, what's up there, PJ2? I was like, nothing, Sergeant Major. How are you? He's like, I'm great. How are you doing? But it was funny because you'd see the faces of all. They'd be like, who is that guy? Why does he talk to him every time? Because like I was not important. I just had a dumb mustache that he told me to fix.
Like, I did what he told me to do, and I wasn't like a jerk about it.
It was weird. I was like, oh wow, you're a sergeant. Hey, yeah, well, what's up there, Command Sergeant Major? I'm sorry. Yeah, let me shave this right now. Do you have a razor on you? No. Okay, I'll just pull it out.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I've seen a few teams panic, like when the boss is coming out. Like everybody's like, yeah, it gets a little out of control sometimes, but it's a good time. I think it's a good time. It's always fun to see how far you can push the limits a little bit. But like honestly, like most guys, at least maybe not most guys, but a lot of guys, by the time they have to shave their beards off and everything to go home, it's almost like a relief.
You're
like,
ready. Yeah.
Everybody's so tired of everything itching and your long hair, and everything's greasy and gross.
And you just feel human again. Like you take that shower, you get that first haircut, you get that beard. Like if you're staying in some weird trailer that has air conditioning that sort of works, and you have to walk 45 meters like outside to go to the bathroom at night. Like you get kind of like sick of that. And that's like a transition period where you're back into that hard structure for the first time. And you're just like, thank goodness, let me get a shower. Let me shave my face. Let me like actually like do some intense personal hygiene here and go on with my life.
Yeah. Well, as we move into 2021 and we think about things to be grateful for, and you reminded me of this, for everybody out there, that we live in America, and the fact that most of us don't have to walk any kind of distance to get to a bathroom in the middle of the night, and that the middle of the night is actually the middle of the night and not the middle of the day for you, and it doesn't sear your eyeballs, and you don't have to, like, that's something to be grateful for. And that's something I'm grateful for every time I come home. That and not walking on rocks. Like, I don't mind the dirt. I don't mind wilderness.
Where does the rocks come from? Where do they come from? They're all the same
gravel
size.
drives me insane.
How?
Someone's making a killing on the rocks. But
someone is making a killing on the rocks, Trent.
Also a great way to, never mind, I'm not going to say that. Money disappears and it's all rocks sometimes. A good way to buy things you need is to buy rocks. That's what I'm going to say with your petty cash. Because you always can buy rocks.
Yes, you can always buy rocks. And everybody, I think that's a great place to end, because that is your piece of advice from Trent. To be a good SR person, invest in rocks, diversify.
When you write it on the paper, it never gets questioned. I'm just saying.
It never gets questioned.
That's it.
It never gets questioned. What'd you guys buy? We bought some gravel.
We needed gravel for this location. A lot of it. I'm not going to say anymore. I'm stopping. I'm out.
Oh, well, then I'll tell everybody thanks. Thanks for commenting, subscribing, and following us for this year. We got a lot in store for you for 2021, and we're going to put out some more content like this. Maybe it won't be just Trent and I BSing. Brian and Peaches have been getting through their moves and their busy schedules, and they're going to do some of these videos like this too, and we're going to mix it up. So the point is we just want to talk to you directly and get you the best information that you possibly can. We're excited here at Onesready about 2021 and what we're doing and what we've got on the horizon. And we think we have a whole lot of stuff, like the Aaron and Trent show. I just love it so much.
I got to get my kids to record something.
A recorder or something really, really good. So, go out there. Check us out on the Instagram, on the Facebook page. Go check out the website. We're going to start putting more exclusive content. We've been featured on a couple of different podcasts. A lot of big ones are coming up that we're going to have on, and guests on our show as well. And of course, every single thing that we can do to actually help you guys get into AFSPAC war or whatever career field it is that you want to do something bigger and you want to earn each breath. So I appreciate you guys coming out and listening to Trent and I ramble on for however long this ends up being and what we got to edit out. But it was awesome. So thanks.
Greg Jackson, I love you. Later.
Train hard. Earn each breath.
Later.